This cat is one of the most important characters in Sumeru lore. This cat is Thoth, the god of lies, and he's responsible for some of the most major historical events in Sumeru. He's met Nefer, he's met Dottore, and most recently he met the Traveler. The return from the mysterious realm event was short, but we did learn some interesting lore. Nothing really groundbreaking or earth-shattering like the sky is fake. In my opinion, I'm glad that major lore like Durin's story isn't locked behind a limited event, but we did get information about Layla, a god possessing a cat, and Dottore, believe it or not. And I really want to talk about everything we learned. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap of the event. The Traveler and Paimon go back to Sumeru and discover that Layla was in a state of confusion after visiting some ruins. Sethos and other Temple of Silence members had saved her. Layla went to do some research, but fell into some quicksand and into some ruins. After exploring for a bit, her mind becomes flooded with knowledge and she becomes dizzy. Then a cat helps her out. Her mind is also repeating the same question. How many moons are there in the sky? Another person named Jir had also experienced something similar. So, the Traveler, Layla, Sino, Tignari, and Sethos investigate the ruins. Alhaitham and Kaveh also join because Kaveh wants to help, and Alhaitham is just straight up curious. The Sumeru find different murals, and the Traveler finds some notes. This is when we get the big reveal that the cat that helped Layla is actually the god Thoth the Ibis King, and one of King Deshret's 7 pillars. The device that made Layla dizzy was a device that measured brain power, and it flooded her mind with knowledge. Thoth helped her by replacing it with simpler knowledge, but the side effect is that a question is constantly repeating in her mind. Thoth leads the group to safety. End of event. So the big question is, why is Thoth indwelling a cat? King Deshret had 7 sages known as the 7 pillars. This included Hermanubis, Apep, yep, that Apep, and the focus of this video, Thoth, Lord of Lies and Scribe of Scribes. However, King Deshret was unsatisfied with Thoth, Sobek, and Harishaf. He believed that they were unvirtuous, unwise, and unworthy, so they were banished to Aaru. Not to be confused with Aaru Village, which is a nice place to be. Aaru is the far side of eternity and is essentially a prison. Thoth is able to communicate by possessing a cat. He can't escape unless he finds humans to answer 3 questions. What causes our rise and fall? What obliterates love and hate? And what determines truth and falsehood? Before I can talk about Thoth and these questions, I really need to talk about the ancient city of Tulaytullah. We were able to visit some ruins of Tulaytullah during a one-time event. Tulaytullah is important because its history is connected to Tignari, Sino, Sethos, and now Layla. Tulaytullah was a city that was founded by Hermanubis and other Tignaran priests. Yes, that means Tignari is named after his people. This is where the Temple of Silence was first started. The Temple of Silence is responsible for housing the knowledge from King Deshret's civilization. Because of Hermanubis and the Temple of Silence, Tulaytullah became the City of Wisdom. Just a reminder, King Deshret's knowledge also included forbidden knowledge, which the Temple of Silence wants to keep in check. The problem is that after King Deshret's civilization fell, there was a power vacuum and war waged across the desert. The King of Gurbet had sieged Tulaytullah and wanted to take control of the Temple of Silence. To protect the Temple of Silence, Hermanubis split his power and gave it to his followers. This is the origin of Sino's power, and it's really cool. The people of Tulaytullah were now afraid of them, so the Temple of Silence and the Tignaran priests left to go live in the rainforest. Layla is connected to this because her ancestors were Tulaytullans. You can tell by their hair color and their pointy ears. Without the Temple of Silence, Tulaytullah eventually fell into ruin. Sucks to suck. The first person to come to Thoth was Godars. His answer to the question, what causes our rise and fall, was conspiracy and betrayal. This answer interested Thoth, so he gave Godars the power to deceive. I have seen so many movies and shows where taking gifts from a trickster doesn't end well. Godars had fought against rebels in Tulaytullah, tales of this victory spread, and he would then reinstate Gurbet as the desert capital. Godars also changed his name to Suleimdollah and became king. Under his rule, there was 10 years of peace. But this ended when his son had died from drinking poisoned wine. 100 nobles had also died from drinking poisoned wine. Celeb was accused of conspiracy, and this created a power struggle within the family. Celeb went to a man named Muzaffar to help because they had an alliance. Muzaffar betrayed him and burned Gurbet to the ground. See that? Irony. Given the gift to deceive, only to be deceived himself. The second person was Makaira. Her question was, what obliterates love and hate? Her answer was, I have nothing left to lose. Vengeance alone can quench both love and hate. She was then gifted the power to be loved. Makira was a beauty that was skilled at sword dancing. The ruler of Tulaytullah had sold her to King Vandana as a concubine. She put those swords to good use by plotting with Prince Farmaz and assassinated the king. Farmaz became king, but he would be overthrown and reinstated multiple times. No, seriously, Farmaz would be reinstated as king 4 times. 2 different uncles took the throne from him. Then the people wanted independence, and then another 12 uncles each tried to claim the throne from him, which resulted in a war. Listen, if you want a quick summary of the history of Sumeru, it is just constant infighting. It feels like there were more wars in the desert region of Sumeru than Natlan. While this was happening, Makira was in the middle making allegiances with who she needed to survive. Unfortunately, this meant that Farmaz could not trust her, even though he loved her. He poisoned her with viper venom, then the people conspired against him and exiled him to the forest. The third and final person to answer Thoth's question was Nefer. Nefer's question was, what determines truth and falsehood? In Nefer's bio, she didn't believe a word that Thoth had said, which only upset him. We don't really know what her actual answer was, but her answer was enough for Thoth to gift her a chess set that gave her the ability to perceive hidden secrets, which came in handy during the main Archon quest. Now, despite getting answers to the questions, Thoth was still banished in Aaru because he has to wait until Nefer finds the true answer to the question. But also, deep down he knows that he may never leave his prison, even if he has all the answers. All of that lore is really cool, but my favorite part of the quest is when it's revealed that Dottore had met with Thoth when he was still a student in the academia. The notes that the traveler had found had belonged to somebody named Zondik. Zondik is a name that first appeared in 3.0. There was a series of notes about Zondik's research in the desert. Zondik went around Sumeru finding secrets about Conria, the Withering, and so much more. It even included some details about his human experiments with Elazar. There was even a note that hinted that he killed another student and framed it as an accident. Dottore is just straight up evil. Dottore's real name being Zondik was practically confirmed because when you try to name the wanderer Zondik, it doesn't work. Now, even though this is old information, having it be officially confirmed is nice. Thoth promised him a gift, but just like Nefer, he didn't trust a single word that Thoth said, especially because he didn't mention any drawbacks. At the same time, Thoth didn't trust Dottore because he was narcissistic and was willing to cross any line. It would be very dangerous for Dottore to have a gift. Now, something interesting was that Dottore declined Thoth's gift because he didn't need it, which honestly is very in character for Dottore. Why take a gift from a god when you can just become one? Dottore was also traveling with another student, but he got hurt. Dottore was fully ready to ditch his ass, but Thoth came up with a clever lie. Only descendants of Tulaytullah may leave freely. So Dottore didn't leave him behind. Listen, I love Dottore. He has one of my favorite introductions, but I don't think there was ever a time where he would even be considered good. That's everything important about this event. Personally, part of me wishes that we got more moon lore, especially because Layla is an astrology student and it feels like a missed opportunity for her to not get the spotlight. That being said, I do prefer that they don't gatekeep important lore or strong character moments in limited time events. That is the worst possible thing. It really sucks when they do that. It is one of the worst flaws with Genshin storytelling. At the end of the day, it was a fun event. Sumeru has my favorite cast, and I'm so glad to see them again. Thank you guys for watching. Go check out my other lore videos if you haven't. I'll see you guys next time. It might be a week, it might be a year.